In this segment, notice how the group uses paraphrasing as an indicator of careful listening.
It's interesting, Gregory, we, at the school I'm at, we did a survey from kindergarten straight up to the grade 8s. And I believe the juniors did it on computer, whereas the younger students, somebody came in and administered the survey. And the results were a little bit interesting for me because I thought that most bullying happened on the schoolyard when the kids weren't being supervised in a close range. I mean, there's always teachers on duty, but you know, you can't see every nook and cranny. But what the results of this survey, which may be specific to my school or not, were that most of the bullying experiences happened in the hall and in the gym room, in the change rooms, in the washrooms, where there was no adult supervision. And it was almost in like the most vulnerable places. I send little kids to the washroom and you figure they're safe, but there's nobody there to monitor the behaviors of other kids. And I mean, are they all bullying opportunities? Are they using the word too loosely, as Tracy had suggested, or is it just it's a change in mentality or a change in their behaviors that we're not observing?
Well, and what you said, it just reminds me, brings back to what I'm still struggling with is that some of the reading that I've done and some of the understandings that I have is that bullying, one of the characteristics that it's a repeated pattern of it, that it's not, from what I understand, an isolated event. And so, you know, something may happen in the gym or in the areas that you were describing that may not be in view of a staff or an adult, but is that one time a bullying? And my fear is that because I think we are becoming more aware of how dangerous and how unsafe a lot of our kids are within our system and within our classrooms, that we might be jumping a little bit too far, saying that and allowing children to think that incident is bullying. That incident is not a kind event, that shouldn't happen, someone shouldn't say that to you, but now we run the risk of calling that person a bully. And are we understanding, are we treating that situation correctly? In what I'm trying to say is that we need to understand, has it happened over a period of time? Why is it happening, and try to understand what is behind the actual behavior that is happening more than an isolated incident. Does that make sense to you?
So you're wondering about our definition of bullying and whether the definition in the schools is clear enough for kids and teachers to understand when a situation is truly bullying and when it's just normal kids doing what kids do?
Yes, and what continues with that lack of clarity in the definition and our understandings, I think, is that the way we handle a situation, we either go along with and condone that every little infraction is actually a bullying issue, rather than actually teaching and demonstrating when it is a bullying situation and here's how we handle it, as opposed to kind of a normal scrape and bump kind of thing that may just happen in the schoolyard, that it's part of growing up.
Mm-hmm. And you're thinking the repetitive piece is something we really need to think about?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Now, can I just put out there, the repetitiveness is that the individual who's doing the bullying repeatedly does the behavior, or is it the person who is the target? I'm going to avoid the word victim, but the target. They are repeatedly the target, or is it both?
I think when we talk about bullying, I think it does involve both, because when it is repeated on the same person by the same person, there's a lot more intention there. Whereas, say it was just a regular person kind of picking on whoever he's just mad at, or he's just mad at the world, so he's picking on anybody. If it's constantly the same person, it seems more like bullying to me.
Andrew used the word intention, and I think that also draws us to part of those defining terms of a bully. So we've talked about it being repeated, and I think intention is also one of those factors that helps define and draws into what you were saying, Tracy. What's schoolyard aggression that we need to deal with, and we need to help kids learn how to behave and how to respond to that behavior, and then what is truly bullying. And I think intention is an important part of that it's not a haphazard, but it was cause and effect, a plan, so to speak.
In this sequence, we've seen Tanya offer 2 paraphrases of Tracy and Cassandra offering a paraphrase of Andrew. This group is becoming comfortable with paraphrasing, perhaps the most important dialogue skill. At this point, go to the viewer's guide for information and some suggested activities about paraphrasing.